got a Benz, back to the M's. How does he win? They be like, how does he just bounce back again?
Welcome back to another episode of The Sport of Luxury. I'm your host, Darius Holly, and today I have another special guest with me. I got my boy Biz with me, man. He's not only an independent artist, he's also a real deal businessman. Biz, what's up, man? How you doing, man?
How you feeling?
Can't complain, man. Can't complain, man. I'm happy to have you here, man. Glad we can make it happen.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So look, diving right into it, man. The new project, the latest EP, I Never Forget a Face.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about the meaning behind that, the name.
Yeah, man. So I Never Forget a Face was it was kind of a project as the year was coming to a close of just records that I didn't want to bring into the new year, sort of like energy I didn't want to bring into the new year. I just wanted to release it. The title I Never Forget a Face. If you look at the cover, it's like it represents like the shadow self. And 2023 was probably one of my most spiritual years, and I did a lot of growth. But we all still have that shadow self that holds on to things and grudges, and that guy, which is the picture on the cover, that guy doesn't forget a face. So that EP was pretty much my ego. Just saying like, this biz might be moving on and growing, but there's still that part of me that never forgets a face.
Word.
So that's what that whole thing represented.
Word. So I say for me, man, my favorite song on there is 5711.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
And there's a line on there that really stuck out where you say, what you say exactly? Yeah, my biggest flaw is popping champagne around these beer sippers.
Yeah.
Elaborate on that, man.
Man, so 5711 first and foremost, as you know, as a Paddock, 5711. It's just been such a learning experience for me, and I just learned time after time that you might go get a car, you might go get a watch, and you call some of your closest friends just out of excitement, but you don't realize that everybody's not living like that. You understand? So while you're popping champagne, they might be only used to beer.
Yeah.
And there might be rage inside that you don't realize. And you just calling your dog from day one, like, hey man, I just copped this. Right. Just because that's your that's your brother and you love him, but you don't realize he's not living like that. And sometimes even if that's not your intention, right? But if somebody's not used to champagne, you popping champagne might come off as bragging. Right. And it just starts creating, and they start harboring this resentment towards you. And that resentment, you'll never know what can grow inside of somebody, no matter how much you love them.
100%. So I mean, how do you deal with stuff like that though? Especially like with your tenure as an artist and growing and accomplishing things in business, music.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that though?
Man, I'm somebody that when I learned the hard way, and sometimes it's like hard lesson after hard lesson. It's just taught me to be more humble. It's taught me to just keep more things to myself. It's just the nature of the world. Even if that's not my intention, I've learned to step outside of myself and see it from the other side. Your accomplishments can very easily come across as bragging to somebody who don't relate, even if that's not your intention. So it's just about learning the balance, and sometimes you gotta keep your wins to yourself. So that's one thing that I've been learning. Less posting on Instagram, because you never know who's watching, and everybody's not happy for you.
100%, I agree, for sure. So, all right, so man, talk about being an independent artist and how has the freedom of creative control paved your journey to this point?
As an independent artist, I think the reason why I turned down many deals, is because I was afraid of losing that. I can live with managers walking away, investors walking away, certain partnerships. What I couldn't ever live with was being stuck in a situation where I couldn't release music. And you hear about it time and time again. Thank God I've never had to deal with it. But I know many friends that they can't drop music, or they gotta pay $1 million to release music again, or $500,000. And it's just like, as an artist, right? I'm an artist first, before entrepreneur, before a musician, so it's been times in my life where, like, when all's going bad, man, I could go on SoundCloud and drop a song, and that does something for me. So the fear of a world existing where I go on SoundCloud, I upload a song, and then I get like a cease and desist from my own record, just had me like, man, I might have not had a major record deal yet, but I have the ability to release things because, bro, it's just therapy to me. It's like what I told you about that album. I just had to get that out because otherwise that album didn't have a place in my future, and I would have felt guilty keeping it in. So it's like harboring emotions. My records are like emotions. So creative control is definitely something I wouldn't trade for the world. It's something that I learned to appreciate as I got older. I feel like I started really young, so I feel like from ages 16 to like maybe even 27, I was chasing a record deal. So it was times I would make records that weren't myself, but you know, seeking the approval from these tastemakers and these A&Rs until I finally put myself in a space where I created other businesses to fund my music, where it's like, bro, I don't need validation from nobody. Right. So now I could create music that's true to myself, and you know, whoever appreciates it, appreciates it.
No, so man, that's major, and I definitely salute that. You know, 'cause that's powerful. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, being able to keep your creative control is a power in itself. So definitely salute that. And you got to make things happen sometimes. So tell me about you know, how you was able to book a week in Egypt for free. Like, you know, you were able to travel there and
yeah. So I made a record. All right, well, backtrack. I started first looking into how to get into other markets, right? Because I'm just like, yo, I realize how global hip-hop is. And it's just like, why do we think America is the end-all, be-all? You know, there's a whole world out there that loves hip-hop. So I started talking to my friends, and I'm like, yo, let's start reaching out to artists in other markets. And, you know, we got Poland, got in contact with some people over in the UK, and then Egypt. And, you know, my homie sent me like a top 10 artist list in each market, and, you know, I sat with the music and saw what makes sense. And I got in contact with my boy Abu El Anwar. Super, super dope artist from Egypt, probably my favorite one. And we built a relationship. I reached out, you know, we built a relationship. He connected me with producers, I connected him with producers. And I did this song called Midnight in Cairo. Now, when I wrote the record, so I asked him, yo, what sound is popping in Cairo? He was like, Jersey Club. So my man Amir connected me with Gutter Wave, who's you know, one of the hardest Jersey Club DJs, super valid in the underground scene.
Word.
Jersey Club has a whole underground scene, which is also crazy. But he sent the record on a Drake sample, I Get Lonely, and we did a record called Midnight in Cairo. Now, when we did that record, I had no intention of actually coming to Cairo to shoot a video.
Word.
But it's been on my mind. I've been wanting to get to Cairo for a long time, back to Cairo, because I used to live there. And we just did the record, and I told Abu, yo, we gonna come shoot the video out there. He's like, man, you capping. But whatever, so we started reaching out to a couple brands out there and said, yo, we're doing this record with this artist named Abu, and from the Middle East, and they loved it. And, you know, the Egypt and tourist section, you know, they want to get into bringing more artists out there, so we made it happen, and, you know, they covered the trip, and, yeah.
No, that's amazing. So that, you know, that's just a testament to being strategic and being intentional, and, you know, making things happen.
Right.
But you spoke on also, you know, just the relationships that was in place to make that happen. So how important is networking and relationships, and, you know, and your success to this point?
Yeah, I'm all about just building organic relationships. Early on in my career, man, like I got a love-hate relationship with the word network, because in most cases it means, how can I use you? You know, somebody approaches, yo, what do you do? Da, da, da. It's, you know, usually at ground level, one person has more to offer than the other. So I just like building relationships. You know, in the Abu case, I was a fan of his music. I saw a lot of myself in him, and he connected with my music. So that was an organic relationship. There was other artists on that list that the door was open for the relationship, but just music-wise, and it just didn't make sense. The energy wasn't there.
Right.
So I'm all about just building relationships.
Organic relationships. Yeah. No, I like that. That's a good point you made too. So All right, so talk to me about a little about your creative process for creating consistent content, online, especially when talking to boys about like the Fuel for Thought series and things of that nature.
Fuel for Thoughts, first and foremost, that's easy. It's like therapy. I usually do those with my guy Dear Lavish, who's a super, one of my favorite producers. Produced for Meek, NBA Youngboy. Those records write themselves, and the whole concept for Fuel for Thoughts is just take a subject that's rarely spoken on. For example, I got one, X is doing voodoo on me. That's not something that people talk about enough. I got one coming at deadbeat dads, pretty much saying like, step up, take care of your kids, and stuff like that. So everyone is kind of like something that I just go in my mind and just speak on it, and while I'm pumping gas. Right. So those write themselves. My creative process is usually, and anybody who knows me will tell you this, I pace around a lot. I just like walk in circles and circles and circles, and whether I'm songwriting for somebody else or writing my own stuff, like you might see me walking 3 blocks away, and that's just how my brain just starts getting ideas.
All right, okay. So I know you spoke on it many times before. I seen when I was doing my due diligence. But just talk to me more about for people that haven't heard about co-producing Drake's Pipe Down and going triple platinum, right?
Yeah, the album went triple platinum.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely shout out to Drake.
How did that come about? How did that?
Me and my guy Leon Thomas is like probably the most talented person on this planet. I work with him a lot, and he was working on the CLB album, and I was given the opportunity to co-produce on that joint.
Word.
And yeah, man, it's definitely opened a lot of doors for sure.
No, that's good. That's good. So, also, for me, I'm also a big fan of Jay-Z, and I know that you are as well. So, talk to me about how his music has resonated with you as an artist and just as a person in general.
Yeah. Man, Jay-Z, just everything he stood for out the gate, from doing it himself, from labels turning him down, telling him he was too old, to becoming the biggest thing on the planet. I don't know if you saw, they just announced a Rock Nation partnership with Versace.
No,
like,
that's crazy.
To the Ace of Spades, like, I just the underdog in him, talent aside, because we all know his lyrical abilities was
off top.
You feel me? But just how he moved through the game and persevered, and just like, it's not like this guy just came in the underdog and just became the biggest rapper. Now this guy came for everything. This guy came for everything they said he couldn't have, and that's just a battle that I dealt with a lot. So yeah, that's why that's the
word. See, I agree with all that, and then even on top of that, for me too, it's like Jay-Z's music just has like this high level taste to it, where it's like, you'll really just feel it and understand if you just kind of like cut from that cloth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And his range, like to the 444, from Reasonable Doubt to everything in between. It's just
for sure. And so, speaking of taste level, man, I know you have a good taste in watches, man. So, talk to me about, what would you say, like a favorite piece that you have, that you've had, or that you own?
My favorite watch that I've had, I'll probably say, is a 5711 Blueface. What I liked about it at the time was people my age wouldn't wear that. My jeweler, Jane, actually, I was like, I want something that's heavy, but I want something that people won't recognize.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And I got it at a great time. I got it when, the watch market was going crazy. So I bought that watch in December 2021, and by like February, it was up like 100,000. They had just discontinued it. So yeah, everything about that watch, how light it was on the wrist.
Word.
But just the fact that at the time, people in my age group didn't really know what that was.
Sure. Yeah. Talking what you got on your wrist right now.
It's Tank Calm, Cartier Tank Classic.
For sure. Nice and classy, man. I like that. So talk about what's like a grail piece of yours, something that you possibly want in the future, or something you got your eyes on.
I really like. I don't know if it's. Yeah, I think it's platinum. The platinum Prezi with like the flooded face, the factory flooded face. That joint is crazy.
Okay.
That joint crazy. What about you?
For me right now, man, like my grill piece is kind of like a Skelly AP. I like that.
Rose?
I do either or, rose or
stainless.
Or the stainless. Either one, whichever one make the most sense at the time.
Yeah.
But like, that's something about that open work face is just like that shit crazy to me.
That joint crazy. I really want the platinum Daytona with the blue face too. That joint crazy.
Nah, it is.
They got an Arabic dial one. I think that's nuts.
Nah, it definitely is. It's even crazy.
How you feel about Daytonas?
Nah, I like Daytonas.
Yeah.
I love Daytonas.
It's crazy how at first, like, you learn to appreciate the watches. Like, at first, like, you think, like, the Prezi is, like, top of the line. And then once you, like, begin your journey,
facts.
You know, I've learned to really appreciate the Daytona.
Facts.
Yeah.
Especially, like, again, like you talking about, you mentioned some platinums and stuff, like when you getting into, like, that range of things, because, you know, people confuse the stainless and platinum all the time, but it's, like, it's a big difference.
And that's what I love about it. You don't even have to say nothing.
Yeah,
You could think it's stainless, you could think it's white gold, like, it's not even something you got to put out there.
That's a fact. If you know, you know.
Right.
Back to that. What about some cars, man? What's some of one of your favorite cars that you probably have had before?
My favorite car that I've had is probably, believe it or not, probably an X6.
Word.
Out of everything, yeah. What I liked about the X6 is how fast it was. It was a big car that moved like, it was a truck that moved like a car.
Yeah.
I had a G-Wagon. It was super heavy. I felt like I was in a semi. The technology when I had it, the dashboard, it wasn't super crazy. But my personal favorite car is the X6.
No, BMW performance is like
Crazy,
you can't really
crazy.
Like I'm definitely a Benz guy, and I love Benz's, the elegance and the interiors and XYZ. But the performance of a BMW, I gotta take my hat off to it.
I had a M850. I love the performance, but it was like white on black, and it was just so. I had it for 10 days, and it was just so. It was so boring.
Word.
Like it went super fast. But it was just so boring that I was like, I gotta get out of this thing.
No, I feel you. What about something that you probably want in the future? Anything got your eyes on next?
It's a great question. I think I want to do like a McLaren. A McLaren. Just because of just what it represents to me. It's like a mile marker that I set out. You know, I got kids. I got 2 kids, so I feel like at the point where I'm buying a McLaren as my everyday car, that means everything else is. That means I made it. Everything else is situated. So, that's like my holy grail of cars.
No, for sure. I feel that. I like that. For me, it's like I don't know. It's something about that coloring, man.
Yeah.
Something about that coloring. It's just it's like a bus on the road, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You like the orange interior?
I love the orange interior.
That's crazy.
I love the orange interior. There's so many different variations I've seen with them joints that, man, Rose did their thing on that coloring, man. I love that. All right, man. So, talk to me a bit more about, what it takes to, invest in yourself as an independent artist. I know you have multiple businesses, man. Speak on that.
So it was 2018. My daughter was 2017. My daughter's gonna be born in 2018, and I was living in LA, broke, 1-bedroom apartment that my manager was paying, and at this point I was exhausted. But I've been doing this for years, and I was just tired of being right there, taking 5 steps forward and then 10 steps back. Like that starts to drain you.
Yeah.
Then on top of that, you're missing holidays. I'm in LA. Your parents getting older. You start to question, man, is this all worth it? But it's just nothing else I can do. I just didn't see myself doing nothing else. So I'm like, man, how do I figure this out? The first thing I did was, now, at this time I was broke, but I was on BET, MTV, performing at Made in America, and everybody thought I was like, I'm originally from Cape Coral, Florida, super small town, so everybody's looking at me like I made it.
Yeah.
So artists would always call me for advice, and starting so young, I had a lot of insight, because I've always been real attentive. Like, I was never just an artist that wasn't hands-on. I was on everything, every phone call, business meeting regarding me, I had to be in the room because everybody I worked with was always successful without me. They didn't depend on my success. So I knew if this didn't work out, they were still straight.
Right.
So I had to like soak up as much info. So the first thing I did was I started a marketing company with my homegirl Oni. And I figured I'll learn with other people's money. I'll see what works. So we started a marketing company. We found these kids from Orlando that ran ads. And then I just started finding like fan pages on IG. Our first client, right, just because of our name, well, Oni's brand and relationships and the people I knew, our first client was Def Jam.
Damn.
We didn't know nothing. We didn't know nothing. We just improvised as we went.
Yeah.
And, you know, that just led from one thing to another. I think like our second big client was like CMG. And eventually we just started figuring things out. So that was our first company, was Forever Digital. And that allowed me to like start making the music I wanted to, start funding my own videos. I didn't depend on a manager or investor's approval of the music. From then, I got into real estate. New constructions, flipping lots. And then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, we got into the PPP business.
Word.
And we locked in a big contract in Maryland with the police department.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so, you know, once we got in that mix, we started getting connected with the movers and shakers, and we were selling masks and syringes to hospitals, and that came next. And then at that point, I got a taste for entrepreneurship, and I'm like, man, it's just, you know.
Yeah.
After that, I got into the pharmacy space. I invested in a couple pharmacies. Lost a lot of money in that, but lessons learned, very expensive lessons. But from then on, I just realized, I could be my own investor.
Yeah.
And lastly now, like my latest project is called Floor 13, which is the first music distribution platform for A&Rs.
Word.
And that's something I'm really excited about.
So to talk about that, I was gonna mention that shortly, but I want to hear more about that because that sounds exciting, man. Just being a hands-on artist for so many years, I learned a lot. I seen a lot of things that I liked, seen a lot of things that I didn't like. But me being an artist first, I speak for the artist first. So one thing that I really realized is these distribution companies, they only have so much manpower, right? So they could only take on artists with X amount of monthly streams, right? But what about the small guys? Because I've been that small guy. Yeah.
And they might be talented, and I think they need somebody, right? So I figured out, okay, if every distribution company has X amount of manpower, how do we create unlimited manpower? And that's by signing A&Rs. Because now the A&R can sign as many artists as he's willing to commit to, right? So in that sense, we're like the Uber of music distribution, where we don't have to have an office or staff. We're global. You know, kids come home from work, they open an account on our platform, and they start signing artists right away, and we give you all the tools, you know? And every artist has a dedicated A&R and project manager. And our core staff, which is made up of, our core team of founders, which is made up of, you know, some very solid industry guys. We're here to coach and guide those A&Rs to be the best A&Rs they can be, so they can sign the most artists. And it all goes up a chain of command. And, you know, every time there's something special, we pitch it, you know, we assess it. And when it's time to start investing money into it, when it's time to take it to Spotify or Apple and so on and so forth. But everybody has an equal opportunity to be heard.
Damn. Man, it sounds super innovative. And it sounds exciting. Like, you know what I mean? It sounds definitely needed. You know what I'm saying? Plain and simple, it sounds needed. So I think, man, I wish you much success on that, and I can't wait to follow the journey and see what's to come with that. But you know, you spoke on even the previous businesses and just investing and pretty much snowball effect and just making things bigger and bigger, going on from one business to the next business. But with all that investing, you know, I know you also have invested into therapy for your mental health.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah, therapy was my greatest investment ever. I think coming from black and brown backgrounds, therapy is looked down upon. You know, like my mother's like, why are you going to therapy? You're not crazy. And that's a problem because I see a lot of these very wealthy dudes that are far from crazy and they go to therapy. So, you know, there's something there. Right. There's a reason you know, we're conditioned to think that mental health is not real. You know, so at first I tried therapy. And it was like, all right, it was cool. And my therapist is telling me, if you keep doing this, this is going to happen. I'm like, all right, so I finished my first, you know, about a month in, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm cool. But then life kept happening, and I started seeing that everything he said was going to happen started happening. And so I wanted to, like, get to know myself, why I do certain things. I wanted to fix certain things. I wanted to heal certain traumas. And, man, it's been about 3 years, and you know, from everything to getting my business together, from, you know, from paperwork, from always doing things official, from lying, from, you know, why I cheat on my significant other, to how that affects businesses not going right. And man, the mind is like really intricate, and I advise everybody to give it the proper time. You know, every 6 months we go get physicals, or we should, right? So why is the mind any different?
Right. Like you said, it's intricate, it's delicate. You gotta take care of it. You know, so I agree 100%. And what's also delicate is, you know, children, man. You mentioned your 2 children, man. How has fatherhood been for you?
Yeah, fatherhood has been definitely the game changer. When I first had my daughter, I think that's what changed the way I think, because now I'm no longer thinking about myself. You know, if it wasn't for her, I probably would have, you know, spent a couple more years in LA trying to figure it out with the same dudes. But now it's like, yo, I don't got no time to play around.
Word.
You feel me? Like, every relationship is like, yo, are we going somewhere together or not? And, you know, I had my son recently, and, man, children are just a blessing, and it changes the way you see time, because now you see time like in like a human. You know, so you see as, are you wasting your time? Are you being productive? Because they're getting older. And that's like a perfect way to measure it.
And that's like every second counts. You know what I'm saying? From what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? Because everything's for them at this point. You know, everything that you're doing. Yeah. So another major change in your life has been your fitness and your health, man. How you taking that serious? So talk about that. How has that been important to you?
Man, but I look at some of my old pictures and I'm just like, yo, who let me get like that? Yo, who let me get like that? I was like 250.
Word, damn.
And but that just goes to show what I was dealing with, and therapy helped with that. That just goes to show what I was dealing with inside. Word. You know, I feel like the physical body is an outer expression of what's inside. So when I started comparing that and looking at, okay, this led to this, I got to get myself together, because, you know, my thoughts come from this body, my work ethic come from this body, my decisions come from this body. So, man, I had to get right, man. I had to put everything else on pause and fix home first.
Lock in.
Yeah.
So, okay, word. So, switching gears back into the music, man. Talk about what it's like preparing for festivals like Rolling Loud.
Yeah, man. So Rolling Loud, I did my first Rolling Loud 2023. At the top of the year, I was still heavier, right? And I'm just like, man, how do I expect to get on these stages and can I even perform for 30 minutes? So I started running. 5 miles a day and just rapping my lyrics. And as I started losing weight and getting in shape, festival bookings started coming in. You know, I did my first Rolling Loud, which means a lot, especially being from Miami. You know, it's kind of like one of them things that, you know, artists might act like, oh, I don't really care. Nah, bro. It's like one of them things that we're like, we waiting for our number to get called every year. So I did my first Rolling Loud, did my first Broccoli City Fest. I went on my first paid tour. It's crazy, all in that same year where, like, I got ready, everything came through.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, man, just running every day, just rapping my lyrics. Yeah.
Divine timing, that's what it sounds like. Everything was divine timing, man. Word. All right, so what, you know, is it who is some artists that you are looking to, you know, possibly work with this year? Anybody on your list?
SZA.
Okay.
I love SZA, Summer Walker. I mean, I would love to work with Kanye in any way, shape, or form. Who else? St. John. I love St. John.
Word.
Everybody else is like obviously the obvious ones.
Nah, gotcha. No, that's a solid list though. Word, man. Is there anything else that's coming for 2024, man? Anything you working on? Anything you can share?
2024. I'm working on my project called Underdogs Win Eventually. I'm like on the fence whether this is my last project or not.
Damn, really?
Yeah. I kind of want to focus on the exec stuff, building out the distribution company. It was a lot of times that I rapped. I continue making. I mean, I'm an artist, so I'll never stop making music. But there was a lot of times I continued the pursuit of music to get into other rooms, you know, because that was my title. It got me in certain rooms. But as recently, I've gotten in certain rooms where it's like being an artist kind of now puts me in a box. You know, like some of these tech companies and some of the challenges we've had with 413. It's when I speak to them and I'm like, yeah, I'm an artist. They're like, okay, well, who else is on your team then? And I'm like, nah, it's me. You understand? And I've gotten that a lot. And I don't want that to get in the way of getting this thing off the ground. And then part of me feels like, you know, music industry, man, I just feel like it's just so shady and snakish. And I've always said, like, man, I wish I had a me for me, right? So part of me wants to get into, like, finding talent, developing talent, and allow me to be that for others.
Pay it forward.
Yeah. So Underdogs Win Eventually. I'm not firm on that decision yet, but it's something I'm thinking about daily.
Word. But nonetheless, that title is, I like that.
Thank you, man. It's a good way to close it out.
For sure.
Yeah.
Word, man. Look, I appreciate you coming through, man. It's been a hell of a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, bro.
Of course, man.
Much love.
Back out of Benz, back to the M's. How does he win? They be like, how does he just bounce back again?